with that. And then
Right, we're
back on. Rolling.
We're rolling.
Okay. Now we're gonna start with answering some of the questions that came from the chat, and one of them was directed to the Jarl, and it was basically it started as a comment, which is when we were talking about how to pay artists, or that how hard it is to pay artists, etc., who gets paid more. Jarl mentioned that we have to start paying each other. It's just as simple as that. And one of the comments was, do we have to pay each other? Is it so that when we go for a drink, do we also pay for each other? And also, so most of the festivals are the people who run or organize the festivals are also artists, and they have to get paid as well. It's really hard in the long term to sustain non-paid economic structure, etc. So
yeah,
you commented on it on the break, but we would like to voice it now.
So do we have to pay each other? That's
yeah.
I'm very much not against. I'm very much pro do-it-yourself environments. Our festival started out as a do-it-yourself environment. It still is a do-it-yourself environment. It's a festival made by artists for artists and public and companies and love people who love it. But as we grow and we want to organize things throughout the year, you have to organize a sustainable structure for yourself to really do it all year long, or to make it work. And as we are getting paid, I strongly believe artists also have to be paid. So yes, and in that context, yes, we have to pay each other. Of course, we can still choose to do it yourself night, or to do it yourself weekend, and that's totally different. One thing doesn't exclude the other. But in a festival environment where we as an organization are getting paid, we're getting revenues from the door, we have sponsors who come in with technical supplies, or we're getting computers or everything, then we have to give an equal amount to the artists.
There was another comment, I kind of lost it, but it was something actually about the sponsors and partners, etc. We were talking about when you cannot get it. By the way, he thanks you for clarifying it. He says, I agree. The previous comment was about like how, if you can't pay the artist, how can you sort of help or give it back, in which way, and like either documenting the process or allowing a better presentation of the work, etc. But at some point, actually, one of the guys, I don't know who, said sponsors and partners actually get more mention than the artists themselves sometimes. It's like it gets more buzz around the partners and the sponsors than the artist's work itself. And I think that is kind of a valid point. I see that a lot happening. And do you have any comment on it? I'm not saying for you though, but I mean just in general, it happens.
Yeah.
It's like, we're working with this, we're working with that. Yeah. And I was like, is this about the art or the good one?
I'm thinking about it. If I look at a festival, I mainly look at the program.
Right.
And also, of course, I look at the partners because I'm interested in how the thing is structured, or how. And you can also look at partners in which way a festival has their vision or their network. But I don't feel that there is an overexposure of partners, except from artists. I don't feel that.
Okay.
So I would be interested in which festivals it is.
I hope he's still there. Who asked that? I don't know, but
I don't have to think. I see on certain levels when you come into a festival, you have signs or things, of course, but you end up in the space where you spend the most of the time in the exhibition, and mostly there are no real big banners or things, and you end up with on the festival stage, and these are the places you remember. And I mostly think that most of the audience just forgets all the things that are
inside.
Maybe on a different level, but I don't have the feeling of overexposure of partners. No.
Okay.
I don't know.
It shows
I would be interested.
entrepreneurship in a way. If you see, like what you said, it kind of shows which direction a festival wants to go into, or how they want to present themselves.
Yeah.
I also find it very interesting, but that's maybe because we we organize a festival in a sense, that
Yeah.
you are also interested in that.
And for instance, if you have a partner as Stijn, for instance, then it's just part of the artist culture, and yeah. Or you have a partner as to this art, or a partner as I don't know. You can be really very proud of these partners.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you want to hold back?
Yeah.
We have another, but my comment was more about the money again. Artists not getting paid, so investing a lot into the event, but somehow sponsors are also involved and are thanked for making the festival possible. Sorry, difficult to make the point in this little box.
Yeah, for instance, if we have the opening of the festival, and some people mention out these partners and sponsors, and again they're shown in a sort of TV or and instead of thanking the artists, for instance, that's the point I think he's trying to make.
Yeah,
is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it isn't really strange if somebody just opened their wallets and said, okay, we like your thing, here, take this bag of money, or take this amount of beer, or take
And
this...
don't tell anyone.
I mean, it's pretty...
That's true.
Yeah.
Is it logical that they get their thanks?
Yeah, it also says they stipulated in the funding that you have to specifically
Thank the people that
program.
gave you money. Yeah.
And sometimes
That's
it's difficult to
polite,
thank every
actually.
artist by
that's
name.
polite.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I also...
effort to just thank everyone.
but it's also like
It'll be
really
long,
weird
but-
if,
Yeah, it
if,
will be the
an,
whole festival.
if an artist gets paid,
Mm-hmm.
it's always like yeah, like here's a guy, he can do something, he does it in front of a stage, and now we are thanking him for it. It's like I'm not applauding the mailman who delivers the mail on time. It's like yeah,
Wow,
you did
but
your
that's
job.
a very crooked way of looking at it.
No, but it's like if an artist gets paid, I'm like, okay, yeah, you go in here, you do your thing,
Yeah.
and you, yeah, I mean.
Or did I get it wrong? Is that... sorry, maybe I got it wrong what you were saying.
Well, I think if an artist gets paid, it's weird to mention him like, oh yeah, thank you for blah 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 for
Only
for
when
what, for
they
showing
get-
up and doing what he's paid for. It's like.
But
Well,
you're
maybe
not
it's-
giving it's weird when you thank them when they get paid.
Yeah.
No, they have to get paid anyway, and you have to thank them because they participated with good work.
I think it's more about
like, yeah,
giving
but
a
then
good
also
introduction
thank
of
the-
everyone who made the festival happen. And
Sorry?
I think it's more about having a good introduction and a thank you, a genuine thank you for
Yeah.
all the levels who made the festival
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
And
If
it's on
you
quite
weren't
different
here,
levels.
wouldn't be possible. That's as basic as that. It's not like, oh, I paid you, so you don't get to get my thing. Why?
No, but it's it has to be like reasonable, like
Yeah, but
Well, I think
don't think it's an interesting discussion, if I may add.
no, yeah,
Because it's just about being polite and thanking the people you're.
Well, I don't know.
you're
It's not.
involved
I don't know.
with, so.
But I kind of think that in what you explained about we as an organization and the people that all the artists are on the same level. So in that sense, all the sponsors, all the partners would all be on the same level. And opposed to what he probably sees happening a lot is that you have the organization, you have the artists,
Yeah.
and then you have sponsors and partners that are like mentioned in a very explicit way.
He's talking about transparency
It's like-
as well.
Okay.
He treats it as kind of a transparency issue. It looks bad that big sponsors are putting money in, but somehow artists don't get paid. And then
Yeah, I
he
get
turns
that.
back to that.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's quite simple. If you thank the sponsor or the partner, thank the artist. If you don't thank the artist, don't thank the sponsor. So thank everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
nobody,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
thanking is not going to cost you anything. Just
Nee.
thank.
It's
Yeah,
turning
but
into
There's
Monty
actually a
Python.
couple of other,
Sorry.
there's actually a couple of other levels where this sometimes goes wrong, especially in the case of collaborative work, where people just put on like the big name.
Oh yeah, it
don't
knows the
mention
hell
any
out of
of
me.
Mm.
the collaborators.
Yeah,
that's
and
an
they're not
interesting level.
indexed in, the index of the festival.
Mm.
Uh,
Even.
Yeah.
No, it's just the big name that gets in there. Finding the work.
No, that's
Yeah,
I think
very problematic.
Okay, yeah. And what
Because-
goes wrong? Are the festivals are they incapable of understanding these kind of collaborations, or
I think it's still somehow this notion that somehow still around, where people think it's just one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's. I've seen it on very different. I've seen it on festivals. I've seen it especially also in like. The composer gets mentioned, but the guy who actually implemented the whole damn thing and made everything work, and without him there would not have been any work to see or hear, or is not mentioned at all in the program.
I think that's a branding problem of the artists themselves. I mean, if you have, for example, collaborators, Strijbos and who's the other guy again? I'm not really making my point.
Yes, you are, because you don't remember.
Yeah.
It's about branding.
Yeah, no, I mean, they as a couple are
Thanks, that's a
the
lot.
artists. And
But
there
after the
is
class
this-
with Yanni, I think
this definition of they're together are making this thing. And if you have one bigger name and you are working together with him and you are not being mentioned, then maybe you should together be a new name or something, or just put yourself out there as a more as a collaborated thing, or even a new name.
Well, no.
you work together with Casalter?
Yeah.
Did you experience these kind of things on this project, or were there other
Can you say
projects?
that actually?
Yeah, no, actually, yes. Actually, for one of the pieces, we really put on paper, like, whenever we do this piece, we want it to be mentioned like this. And it's really has been a struggle with some festival organizers to get that correctly on the website.
That's strange.
It is strange.
It is, but it's
It's
happening.
mentioned so explicitly. What's the problem?
But I've also experienced similar things where
It's also sometimes like I think that's one very important thing to always check whatever like texts you put out to the public, like give like a final review to the artists you're actually gonna put out there. We've also had a couple of times where they took
5 years.
Yeah.
and basically did not mention all of the current collaborators.
Well, the problem with that is
This
a lot of things
very
is
important.
being last minute work, and before it needs to get to the press or the what do you call it, to print the flyers and stuff like that, there is simply not enough time to get all the artists
But that's the festival's job, to get everything right on time.
Yeah.
It's not an easy
Yeah.
job, but
Yeah,
and to
but
make the space available in the
That is
booklets
true.
to actually include the names or the.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
just noticeable difference. We have like a tech writer which pretty much details everything. And then if there's anything unclear,
But then I think it's just it's not you.
um,
Like, I mean, that's just the organization of the festival that did it wrong. And that's just a bummer in that sense. But I mean,
Well,
it's
it's
just,
just a bummer
it's
now.
an
no, it's not just a
interesting-
bummer because it's more
Yeah.
structural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like-
mean, I don't. that's how it seems right now. That it just happened
No,
a few
it's-
times.
it's
But
about
also
getting-
like unread writers
Yeah.
for once. Like you can be
Yeah.
as specific as you want in a writer, but if nobody reads it,
Mhm.
it's just a valueless piece of paper
It's just
or mail.
That's
see
an
what you
interesting level we're getting at. Yeah.
But that's like in providing value for artists.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's extremely
Of
important.
course, it's
I
important.
mean, I've had it with today's art, where we specified to thing up. We need a couple of people. Like, it's not a one-person job. These are heavy things, and we need a couple of strong people to put these pieces in place. And they just didn't provide the people. Like, I was lucky I had some friends in The Hague to actually come out and help me, but otherwise it would just not.
Well, without calling names, once had an experience where they actually
I know
forgot
exactly.
to read the fact that we need electricity to
Are you serious?
to
Yeah.
be able to turn on the PA that they did deliver.
That's strange.
That's stupid.
That was
This
like
is
after
stupid.
we had to wait for 2 hours to get into the festival area.
Oh, I
to
think I
even
know
start
this.
building them. Yeah, but
I know where this was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so there's but this is like maybe an extreme example of something that happens a lot, where you as an artist are like well on time sending everything, sending your writer, then 2 days later you get a mail, hey, can we get your tech writer? It's like, okay, resend. And then 2 days later it's like, hey, can we get your technical specific? And it's like, resend. And after the fourth time it's like, okay, come on, where's the pile of tech writers?
Do you love
and
them that
that's
much?
really frustrating, and
Yeah.
also it
Yeah.
completely takes away the joy of going to a
I
place
totally
and perform
understand
there.
that. Yeah.
I want to ask you, do you experience that you have too much work for the people you have to do the work? Because it can be
Yep.
that thing.
Organizing a festival is a really hectic time. You're operating on so many levels with some people doing multiple jobs, and even if everybody is really focused and has a good vibe, people, things go wrong. I don't have the idea that we kind of like miss all things, but I think everyone can improve on certain levels. That, for instance, somebody who does the marketing on the website actually knows something about the piece they're communicating about. So you can make, and that's what we try to do most of the time. Sometimes maybe illogical that somebody doesn't need to know any information, but we think like someone at the door needs to know what happens in the festival, or if somebody writes about on Facebook something, check with the programmer about what you're actually gonna tell.
Yeah.
And I think to come back to your question, are you always under? Is there
Short
too much
on
work
Yeah.
for the team? I don't think so, but I think you have to be very strict at providing a lot of information to different types of persons.
The communication is one
Yeah.
big thing in
Yeah.
organizing.
The internal communication of festivals
Yeah,
is very
and external
important.
communication.
Yeah. And sometimes you have very big teams that you think, how is this possible that somebody doesn't know what's happening there? And maybe that's the thing, that the team becomes really big. But there are ways, I think, to just provide information. Just pull.
Walkie-talkies.
Yeah, no,
I'm kidding.
just make
I'm
social,
kidding.
Telepathy.
more social thing. Everybody comes together and you have a good talk of what's happening, who is presenting in a way. Provide readers with the information of the people performing. That you get that all your team is actually interested in themselves or becoming interested in what's happening. I think that clears a lot of problems. Not all.
From an artist's point of view, I have to say that I really enjoy getting a mail from a festival saying, hi, I'm this and this and this guy or girl. I'll be taking care of the communication with you from this point on. And that you just have this one central point where you can ask your questions, send your writer,
Mhm.
and what I really dislike is, your tech writer, you should send it to this guy, and then when you arrive, ask to this girl, and she will bring you to that place where this stage manager
He's gonna
is
take care
there,
of
blah
it.
blah blah, and it's like what?
Yeah.
Like I have to keep an administration just to be able to get to the right place.
And
at
why
this
didn't
festival.
you send it before?
Yeah. Why did it this 2 days after the festival? No, but I really like to have like this centralized thing, and then whatever the structure is behind that, I don't have to worry about that. It's like I just get one source of information, and I don't get different stories. And
I think it really starts at an organization where everybody's curious and interested in the program, and on a certain with us we have meetings where everybody has something to not you. Of course, you have like some people who just program certain types of areas in the festival, but everybody is always checking each other's content or sharing the artists you like, the performance you like. So it becomes more collective interest in the whole festival as being one programmer doing his thing like this, and one doing only the club night, or one doing only the workshops.
I think that also needs like a sort of collective, as you said, understanding that this is a whole experience. It's not like just one part of it, and because I think that extreme focusing could only happen if people actually don't see it as a whole experience and just like workaholic, narcissistic, egoistic, or whatever you want to call it, and just to prove one thing and not care about them.
Yeah, we have just 8 or 9 people just knowing a lot about a lot. So, and of course they can focus, but they still can say something like, okay, this artist, I think you should have a look at it, because it might very well fit with the thing you're working on now.
Yeah.
And that's quite interesting to have this kind
Exchange.
of yeah.
That's why I talked about marketing just now, because it's not. I'm always very annoyed by the fact that people are annoyed by marketing because it's so freaking important, and it's all one big thing. It's not something separate. If a marketing person or someone in an organization that's working on that part of the whole thing doesn't know anything about the program, no one will come to the festival. And vice versa. If I don't know anything about marketing as a programmer, maybe I'm not really programming the stuff that my audience wants to see. So that's why it's hand in hand, always. And in that sense, I do think that I have experience in both. That's why I have like 2 hats on the whole time. And that helps. But it's also very difficult because I'm schizophrenic sometimes, because I think, is this going to sell? No, it's not going to sell. But wait, I really like this. So, and how am I going to sell it? So it's a learning process for me as well, to see, how do you do that? And I think I wrote down right now, make sure there is one person you communicate with. No, honest to God, I think that can totally change your entire experience as being part of a festival. It might seem like something so tiny, but if someone really knows what you need, if someone really has read your technical writer and is there to say hi to you, those are the details that make the magic.
Yeah, we are completely figuring that from our experience.
Yeah, but I'm not sad to hear that it's different though.
So
they don't have to know everything, but they're the go-to guy. So if I have a question on like, something's wrong.
They chase
they find the guy that you need, and
it's your like dedicated producer. You love them and they love you. What it is.
fix it.
Producing is maybe the hardest job, I think, in the world. Though I can exaggerate, but really,
I can give a couple
in the festival world. I think producing is like hard because you have to. It's really hard. People underestimate how difficult it is to be a producer. Oh, really? I can't do it at all.
Well,
it's really
I think
hard.
I would like to ask.
No.
It's the main
That
image.
side of the table.
Yeah.
Like, what is okay? We've had a couple of drinks and we are talking about how festivals are bad. But what is what is the best thing that a festival has done for you?
Oh, let's get back to that because I have questions piling up from here as well.
Like
Maybe
you have
one
performed in a
like it.
festival, or you have taken part in a festival, and what from all the festivals you've been to, what is the best thing that a festival has done for you, or something that was valuable for you? I could start.
That side of the
Because
thing.
I can't
you wanted to answer your own question.
Yeah, I'm also schizophrenic. No, I mean I'll come back to the issue of having a platform, like something that happens every year, and you know, like okay, September is coming, and I'll get to perform to that place, and I'm gonna show my work to these people, and I'm gonna be better than last year. So for me, like I think this kind of stability.
It's
Like,
the kind of stability, like say, if you work, for example, I have a full-time day job, which is like 9 to 5, and I do other stuff when I don't sleep. But that's for example, that's the extreme example of a routine life. But in the case of when you are like sort of independent, professional, creative artist, whatever, then you don't really have that kind of say rhythm, which these kind of things give you a sort of a long-term rhythm, I think, that you can go for.
Yeah, and you're looking forward to meeting again those people, and you're curious to see what this artist is gonna do this year, and you have to do something new for this year, and you challenge yourself. All those things. Again, the community thing, something that gives you stability, or something that keeps coming back. Reassuring.
There's a comment, I think this is kind of taking it the other way around though. It's not necessarily like what festivals directly give, but actually what, let me just read it, actually it will be easy. Somebody, I think it was again Yaksu Pakso, said it's about rejecting, like say a festival make an open call and you apply for it and you get rejected. You never get an answer why the hell you were rejected in the first place. If they could only just spare a moment to write why, this would teach us a lot. And I totally agree, actually.
I can, on the other hand, sort of imagine that if you'd have to explain why you deny all the artists that you're denying, that you could way better spend that time on the people that you actually do.
No, that's just like it's like are you really trying to sort of I mean it's really being disrespectful. This person takes their time, replies to that. And you should at least give us sort of a feedback. If your intention as a festival, that's okay. If it's your true intention that you want to give back something, sort of leverage.
Oh, the French are very good at this, sending back generic emails about why you're being rejected. I can send you a couple of samples if you want.
Just all the same.
Well, I don't want the.
I honestly find that a bit confusing in a way that. Well, I had it when I was looking for internships, and some companies don't reply at all, and some send a standard email. And what I find so weird is that yes, you get a lot of applications, but that's just managing your time. So you can just say, okay, we're gonna go through 10 applications,
and then make a time
in like that time schedule, and then it's not a problem anymore. And you're reviewing that application anyway, and for that application you have to review it with others and stuff. So you have an idea of why you aren't going for it. So I feel it's your obligation to.
I don't really know about this.
It's about scale.
What about looking at it from the other perspective? And saying, looking at making, you want to have feedback. I'm playing the devil's advocate, okay? You want feedback. The person that is in charge of looking at the application does not have time to call everyone. Or to write. So if you want the feedback, call them. And you really, I did this.
Okay.
Get it.
I'll just say this, like from my experience, again, I'm not going to drop the name because that would be bad, but you actually write, they actually forward your email to the person that is going to give you feedback. They never return to you. And these people are actually dedicated to actually allowing young artists, ambitious artists to get somewhere.
So it's there, and like that's what they do.
Yeah, but then they don't take the time to give you the actual feedback that you need the most. The moment that you don't fit to a certain thing. What I'm trying to say is, like, I think this all comes down to the idea that you treat people. I mean, this is a really cynical view, maybe, but I think there's point in it that if you treat others as you sort of in a utilitarian view, like useful objects, if you look at people like that, if they're not useful for you, you disregard.
That's what it feels like.
That's definitely what it feels like, and that's completely disrespectful.
But again, if you really want that feedback, I would do anything to get the feedback.
Yeah, but
so I don't want to be like.
What I have with that is that you're gonna
you are the one who's putting an open call out.
Yeah, I agree, but still, I'm just playing the devil's advocate because I auditioned for theater schools. I applied for jobs as an artist as well, and I didn't get any feedback. I got a general email saying you're not accepted.
But because they are not doing it, why shouldn't? Yeah, I mean, that's not the reason why you shouldn't do it.
I know.
But on the other side, I mean, I'm now also with Stein like reviewing all these project applications that we get, and some of them are also like really like generic. Like,
but then you don't take time. That's okay.
I want to play at your venue. Here's my music, and they.
But then it's what you give, what you get. That I understand. But if you can, I think, tell from the tone of the applicant that they actually care of something. And if you're not able to see this tone, then obviously you also lack something in terms of like finding the right skill, like seeing through people. I think someone who's reviewing people's work should also have a bit of that quality. And if they see that, the ideal would be just take a moment when you're not so busy. Just say, okay, we've denied you, but I think these are things that was lacking in your application or whatever. I mean, it's really not has to be.
If it's about like 10 to 15 people, 10 to 50 people maybe, and saying, okay, sorry, you're not the one. We didn't see blah blah blah. Okay, but if you get like 300 replies, it's like, no. This just not even going to start about it. It's just okay.
It's impossible.
And I think most of the people that have a standardized rejection email, there's a reason why they invented those. There's a reason why they are there. It's because it's just too much, and you don't want to spend half a day spending on negative energy. Like, okay, it was really nice, but we didn't like it. You have to disappoint people for hours on end, and
I know
expect
people
to do anything productive after that.
I have a question. Did any of you have it's a big word, of a rejection for a call, but had a good contact with the person that rejected him, and maybe do a different thing the next year? Build a relationship out of this first contact.
Well, yeah, I did, but it's not festival related. But the company that I got my internship in, I initially got rejected for a year before that. But see, I had to get an internship. That's really scary. Yeah. As a student, it's really scary to send out those things. Yeah. You're really worried.
Yeah, you really.
And if you don't get a reply, it's really demotivating, and you kind of you have no clue where to go.
What is wrong? What is right? You need to.
You're only criticizing yourself the entire time. I don't match up. I'm not good enough yet. They have high demands and that kind of stuff. If somebody replies and says, "Hey, your portfolio was really nice, but we don't yet see the qualities that we're looking for," or something. If they just give you a little bit of a push,
starting point.
A little bit of a thing from, hey, this is something you can work on. And I think that's what you're underestimating, is that some artists might want to do that, might want to do something, especially if it's interdisciplinary. So if it's someone that doesn't really know that field, and they're just kind of trying something, if they don't get a response, then they're going to give up. And it might have been a really interesting collaboration if they send a second email with a little bit more. If they have a little bit more to go on. That's just what I think.
I sort of disagree there, where I think that if not getting a reply means stopping this collaboration, then that's probably a good thing. I mean, the collaboration should be done because you want to achieve something, because you have a vision for it yourself, and that should not be dependent on whether or not you get accepted to to anything. So, from an artistic point of view, I'd say, okay, if you get rejected for a festival, and you get no reply as to why that is, and then you actually stop working on something, it's like, okay, but
I totally see your point. You shouldn't, obviously, and we all keep trying. That's why artists are like just sending shitloads of applications to pretty much anything they come across, and sometimes they even become generic because they've been doing it all their life. And you wouldn't stop, but for a starter, it could be very discouraging, and you should just see that it's a big possibility.
but you'll also have to learn that you'll be rejected 99 out of 100 times, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, but that thought, that's the way it works, is not the way I work. Like, that's the way it works. Okay, so we never change that. Whatever it works, the way it works.
I think Thijs is saying that you're gonna be rejected because there are too many festivals.
Yeah.
You're not always. That's the thing you're saying.
What I'm saying is
it's
that
the same as I applying for a job and there are 300 people.
Yeah, of course, it's always like
that's
this.
The thing you mean.
But it's not like, oh, I got rejected for this job because there are 300 other people. No, I'm never ever in my entire life going to apply for any similar job ever again because I get rejected once. If that's the case, it's like, okay, do you really want it?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. Still, like what I'm trying to say is, artists don't do that. Like, at least if they do that, then they don't become artists, they become something else anyway. So that's out of the question anyway. It can be discouraging. The point here is that if festivals are trying to make a point that they're actually trying to help artists, they should also look into that perspective. And I think it's a quite a valid request. It's as simple as that. Take your time with your artists and don't use them only to get their work in. And if
I'd say if it's relevant, yes. If it's like, okay, the only reason why we couldn't put you in is because you're like 5 seconds too late. But please, next time, send it in right away and we'll book you straight away. Then, yes. But if it's like... No.
It doesn't work.
I mean, the generic shit you just throw out. The stuff where it's like... I don't even want to start to explain why you were rejected because it's...
Well, sometimes it isn't even a rejection about if it's good or bad, or it's just you make a selection and you make with your team or even with artists or even with you just make a selection, and those are the 10 things you can support. And sometimes there's a work with sound and there's a work without sound. And you can't put the two of them in a room. It's on more levels, and you choose on a certain level which is the best and the most ultimate way of combining these things, and then a work of art which is very good, but it's with sound and it has a little bit different approach of what you're looking for. Yeah, it's not even about good or bad even. It's like, I can easily say, like, hey, we didn't choose your work because we don't have any more room for it to present it properly. And we had it many times, like, we don't have the space for it.
Yeah, but then you just say that.
Yeah, or we don't.
But that's just what I mean. It's just be honest. You know, you don't have. It doesn't have to be that elaborate. But if you just say that, but it's like
But doesn't this all have just to do with time management?
Yeah,
this has to do
manage
with time.
It well.
Yeah, of course. But
but it's there is already too little time usually. So if you can save time on anything, it's probably this.
Are we not really getting a little bit off topic?
Yep.
No, actually,
it's just a question.
No. Why? Sorry. The whole question was how festivals can give more to the artists, and that's a very valid point. I totally don't agree that it's out of topic.
Okay.
So constructive rejection.
Yeah, that's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Constructive rejection.
I think what Sherry said is way more valid. Reject, and then if they come back to you with a follow-up, okay, so why did I get rejected? Then answer. But
no. Otherwise, you get these generic emails, and I would much rather say, like, okay, we don't have the space to actually show your work, or we don't have the funding to actually show your work, or we don't have I don't know, or we don't choose this year to show your work. Maybe we do it in a different event. But can we please stay in touch? Or otherwise, we say, well, we don't think your work fits with our festival. It's also a very legitimate way.
Because it's you're not like a public organization.
Exactly.
You have your own agenda. You don't have to explain yourselves all the time.
Also, I have to say this just like writing just a simple answer to an individual gets you from this blank wall which this person talks to an actual living almost organism that responds. And if you're living in a what?
Marije I was looking at Marije.
It is a different organism, but yeah.
No, but the point I don't know, just a comment on if I'm bullshitting right now, but I really do think that you can either be a really cold like wall that I'm talking to and I don't hear anything back, it's just like, okay. Or you can be an actual identity, like a persona, like something. And if that's what you're aiming for, then you better just manage your time well, then do it. I mean, you have to be upfront and personal, then be so.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe even think about, okay, your work doesn't fit with our festival, but maybe it does with Cultfest.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Just say like, Cultfest, I have something amazing, and
Yeah,
probably fits very much with your festival.
That's the ideal thing. It's like
That could be life-changing for a
offer
young
an extra
artist,
option,
to
offer an
steer them
always
to
do
another
that.
festival.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, that's me, but I
another
don't. I
organization.
can't relate to this because I just would never. I would always take it the personal. I would always take the personal route, but because that's me. But I can't. So I find it very hard to discuss this because I don't really see. I see a problem, but on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, I've always just asked and asked and asked. Hello, this is Shari again. Hi, it's me again.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I was wondering. No, I can't put you through. Hi, I mean, honestly, if you want to get there, sometimes you just have to push until you can't anymore.
That's always like that.
Yeah, I know, it's stupid because I understand your point really well. Of course you would want to have more constructive feedback, and it's a legitimate thing to ask. And I would always give you that feedback, or I would always want that feedback, of course, but it's just not realistic. For a lot of organizations, it is just not realistic. Unfortunately.
It's the way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
But if there's one person who has to reject like 300 people, while at the same time he can spend those same hours rejecting people on supporting the people who are actually going to do something on the festival, I think that choice is quite clear, right?
Well, you can say it as rejecting, but you can also say it as supporting the people you are not putting on your festival.
It's a
Interesting.
That's basically what I'm trying to say.
I get that, yeah.
And we are not talking about all the people that you had to reject. I mean, half of them are maybe, really shit. Let's just say it. Half of them are really, to your opinion, not worth spending any time, even. Like, that's a really low level, But, like, not even worth time. But if some of the people you rejected are actually just because either of this or that, just like Yara said, it's very simple. It's just sending, even if it's generic, just explaining the situation in one sentence. It's just human relationship. It's just you talk to one another. And you as a festival, if you're another corporate, whatever, I think you should take that level.
Then it goes back to the networking.
You know, that's basically what comes down to.
Then it basically goes back to the networking thing, where you as a festival are like, okay, not this time, but we definitely want to establish a relationship for future possibilities, and then it becomes a valid investment of time to send a sort of rejection email which specifically says, okay, not for this, but we're starting up this new thing, blah blah blah, and might be perfect for that. But then of course. But then it makes total sense to invest time into that.
See it in a bigger picture. If you are telling them to maybe attempt to go on another festival, like what you said, maybe Cultfest is the place to go for you. Maybe that fits you better, and the next time maybe Cultfest is. Rejecting
go to Fiverr.
people to go to Fiverr. So it's always
ping pong.
I mean, look at it in the bigger picture?
Guys, look at
Thijs
the
just
bigger
doesn't
picture.
want to send emails
Yeah.
to people who he rejects.
Yeah. Guys, we'll make a generic email for you.
I've seen it like in a completely different space, like a different arena where there are like tons of producers who send stuff to me, like, yeah, you have to listen to my track and blah blah blah. It's really cool, Ellie. And at a certain point, you're like,
Dude.
I barely have time to write my own tracks.
But
I love to support the scene. I love to say like, hey man, really cool beats. I hate your melody, but whatever.
But I totally see your point about it. But that's because you are only one person. If you're a festival, you get the person to do that.
Yeah, but how realistically, like how many people are
That's
actually
not-
working on programs for festivals?
You can make it. It depends how big you are. If you,
Yeah.
I
But
don't
that's what
know.
I'm saying.
But
It's about
even
scale.
even the really
Big
How,
festivals.
how many applications do you get?
for fiber,
A week or
I
something?
wouldn't say, I don't know in real numbers, but
Just an
we get in a lot from different parts of the world. For instance, we get things from Brazil or from Poland or from Netherlands, but I think it's within the scale of actually really being able to reply. So I can't say real numbers, but it's not like we're all like, oh man, we got so much data,
Yeah.
we don't know what to do with it.
It's like a luxurious
it's-
problem.
No, it's not. It's
too
all on
bad
the
now.
basic of just normal relations, as being in a really busy meeting, or so I think Fabian, for instance, did and Luc, but there are more people like Luc, Caroline, Fabian did. They're the programmers also from different parts of the festival, and they manage their own contacts, and they're very personal, and they're very, and sometimes they're not that personal because they're anonymous, or not anonymous, unknown and new connections. But that's not it's still within the reach of just personal contact. So I don't see the problem of being really generic. It's just about the choice you make, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't that also something to add to what we talked about earlier, to get us this aesthetic quality, or at least quality, you said, the amount of quality? If you have, what you just said, different people as being the contact for the different artists at the different places on the festival, that works pretty well probably. And you have one person who contacts the artists in this part, and everything is far more clear.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what Cultfest is. What I'm
Most
creating right
festivals
now.
are probably doing that, but
Yeah, I'm sitting here on behalf of Fiber, but actually there are like 5 or 6 people really
Yeah.
doing all the context for different parts. And
but
I mean,
the person
doing
it's
TikTok.
yeah. Oh, sorry.
You're just doing TikTok.
No, that's the only thing I do. Yeah, actually. Well, you got me.
But we got back into complaining, and you haven't told me what the best thing a festival has done for you.
Very good.
Yeah, that was the starting point.
Before we jump to that, there have been lots of discussion going online as well about this, because it's apparently a very heated topic. That only proves that it's relevant. Alex says there are software to allow anonymous reviewing, or like you if you have 10 people who does reviewing, which also might be cool to who does the programming, let's say. They review the things together, and I couldn't follow the whole thing because there's lots of writing. I'm going to read it, but he basically suggests a certain structured reviewing system where you can actually review together by peers, but at some point you can also reveal it in a transparent way to the reviewee. Is that what you say it?
Yeah.
So he's giving some software like open conference system. I'm not really sure what he's talking about, but
Open conference, like
something
like
else
the
though.
conference
Yeah.
management.
But he's suggesting.
But you can use it
Yeah.
for
Anything.
music as well,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
Well, it's open conference, like I think it evolved over the last couple of years. Basically used for a lot of conferences to review all the papers, but also music submissions or art submissions. And then basically you can get like reviewers to sign up. As an organizer, you assign whatever you got in to a set of reviewers. They can all write their comments about it, give certain ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also there's messages the reviewers can send to the authors, and there's messages they can send to like the organizing committee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically meant to facilitate like the whole review process and communication about the review. And I've never used it as an organizer, but I've used it as a reviewer, and it's pretty nice to work with.
Yeah. He says it saves time to send feedback to the submitters as well. I don't know how it's done, but
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
maybe I should
And
change
it's
it.
open source and all that.
Okay. Cool, even better. Basically, this kind of system should save organizers time, he says. So there you go, time management.
Yeah.
Solved.
Yeah. Yeah, but on a certain, yeah, of course. I think it's quite interesting. I'll have a look at it. But at a certain level, it's just getting a mail and just having a reply. It can be much easier without the system. But if you get into more complex,
Well, I mean, as you're reviewing and you're watching the stuff, you write down your comments. Usually, I guess you also have a meeting to talk to them as well as come out of that discussion.
yeah.
But then you don't have to go through an extra loop of sitting there. Oh,
That's all in
even
one
if
system.
It's already there.
Yeah, and you can also, because it's open source and you can also make it open. It's also a sort of knowledge tool about how the process is, about thinking about getting to a certain goal. Or
You don't have your answer yet.
Yeah, what's the best thing? Okay.
So, I'm gonna answer it. Again, the festival in Germany, where I talked about. We arrived at the festival. Someone come to you, say, "Well, there you can get a beer. There's food. You can pack your instruments. You can leave your instruments there. You can sleep there. You can do this there. You can do this there. Tomorrow, this time sound check. This time play. Enjoy." So. A person who comes to you and explain all things and gives you a warm welcome, and well, that's the best you can have at a festival, I think.
That was a German?
It was in a small town in East Germany, which looks like it's not in East Germany, but it's in
Which small town?
Houtmansgrün.
That's really small.
Yeah,
Place to be. Oh,
2 cows and 2 people, and that's it.
But that shows again what Pinar is also talking about, the personal touch.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, for me, it's also like, without naming names, this festival where you're building up your stuff. Somebody actually walks towards you and asks you, "Hey, do you want a sandwich?" Yes. And like 10 minutes later, they come back with a sandwich, and you can eat and you can continue working. And that's like, that's like the sort of personal stuff where you're like, okay, at least that stuff is just being taken care of. I hate it when you go to festivals and it's like, okay, so here are your 2 coins, which you'll have to sort of split over the coming 24 hours that you're here, and other than that, enjoy, but don't go there because that's restricted. Okay.
okay.
So yeah.
I guess in terms of food, my best experience was at Makeart.
It's only about food.
it's very important.
So it's not about karaoke, it's not about art.
Hospitality is like.
Yeah.
It's so
I
funny.
mean, when they wrote me, it was like, well, we can offer you like travel, accommodation, a small fee, and some meals. I thought, well, for those days that I'm there, I'm just getting some meals from them, and the rest range. They meant some meals a day. And actually, the way they did it, I mean, I was staying in a hotel, so there was like included, which means 2 croissants Um,
NGO.
but then for like lunch and dinner, they basically had gotten some cooks who were cooking for the whole. At their own like space. So there were actually these 2 moments every day where everyone just sat together and was having. That also built like a very like strong sort of community feeling.
Yeah.
Like lunchtime they would go, hey, we're going for lunch. So you take a break from putting together whatever you were putting together, which I think is also important.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not gonna, at Kultfest, we don't have a backstage area. So you know, we're gonna have one festival heart where everyone. No, yeah, but really, that's exactly what you said. That's exactly how you get people together.
Mm-hmm. True.
So everyone eats and drinks there.
Yeah, so I mean, makeup was really good. I can really recommend going there. They also had quite a big audience for Gautier.
Yeah.
Most crowded openings I've seen of a story. Maybe that was also because of the food.
Sounds like a restaurant review.
Yeah, well, I think those moments are very valuable for everyone, and there are long days like this festival. You have to work a long day, going to bed late, and just food and these kind of moments just give you energy, and yeah, I think they're quite expensive. Also expensive. Yeah. No.
Well, I mean the way they did it was
very valuable.
I think still relatively cheap for them to do.
Yeah.
Because they got like a really good cook to cook.
Yeah.
And buy all the ingredients yourself. So.
No.
It's just well thought, you know?
Yeah. No, even with friends, I have 2 or 3 friends working in the restaurant, about restaurants, and you could quite easily ask them if they can supply a good meal, and they're happy to do it. So there are different ways, or just to cook yourself. We did it also, or just provide nice sandwiches. It's very not that hard, but. I think you have to have dedicated people to doing it.
Well, I mean, I've also organized a conference once, and would not sure that they would get food. But yeah, I mean that's really important. And also, I think just having someone to welcome you when you, especially when you're going to like a foreign town, foreign culture, you. Knowing where, like if you don't provide food, provide a map with where food is around.
And be
Also, how to
clear on
get
beforehand on what is being taken care of and what isn't.
Yeah, no surprises.
Yeah, especially about things like food, accommodations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
to get to a place.
Yeah.
Like, especially from airports to venues and the other way around. That's
it's funny that it works on both ways. The first year we put out a PDF with basic information, and second year we improved this PDF with the types of where the metro comes from and where you can put your car, and it saves the organization and the artist really a lot of trouble and time on both ways. So you just end up like, okay, I know my thing, they know their thing, and you just go on from there. You can forget all the hassle. You can just be like, have a relationship, like, okay, well, what are you gonna do, and not exchanging all this information you could have done prior to arriving. So yeah, I support your idea.
Yeah, I think that is, well, I'm not really into production things, but I think I see that sometimes that they take care of things that need to be done, but are probably due to time as well, are not clear enough, and especially not in time clear enough.
What do you mean?
Clarity to everybody about where everything is.
What you can expect. What you can expect.
Exactly. Expectations. Yeah, that for everybody the expectations exactly how it is, and I think that is one of the most important things the production team of a festival need to do, and that is to themselves at first, of course, to the artists and to the audience. To the audiences, most times it's been taken care of because that's clear, but to the artists, like we say now, is not always.
Yeah, and that's also like, I mean, when you're setting up for concerts, like when the sound checks. Yeah, especially with like different media and stuff. That's screens. Especially as stuff gets more complex. I have some pieces where the light level is also important, even when I do the sound, because it's all interdependent.
Yeah.
The light check then, these things
Are intertwined.
Are intertwined. Also, like if you're setting up an installation, like when does equipment arrive that you need to set up?
That you're not waiting a whole day for your equipment to arrive.
Yeah. Also, so little stuff like chairs or tables or stuff that's only needed during the setup, and afterwards you'll need to do here again, but you do need it. But yeah, have some level of comfort while you're tweaking things.
Yeah. Are those things quickly overlooked when you have things in your rider, and like what Thijs said about like electricity isn't there, but like chairs, and is that something that there should be more attention to these little things that make it?
Well, I guess with those little things, it's also just good to have these. Especially, I mean, if you're spending a whole day in like an exhibition hall, it's nice to be able to sit somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. But is that vastly overlooked by a lot of festivals, or what's your experience with it?
Yeah, so I think sometimes it's overlooked. I mean, also the electricity thing. Sometimes you need, sometimes you need that quite early on in the process. It's not like the last thing we do is plug it in.
It's like, okay, now it's there and it works.
There's also stuff like table space, for instance, especially in performing. You know, in the writer says that I need X amount of space to put my gear. And yes, that space is available like from the start that I have to play, but I need to build up. You know, if some other artist takes up all the table space and I have to play immediately after, that's impossible. And that happens quite a lot. That yes, they read the writer and they know that you need it and it's all provided, but the logistics of it, like
that all again has to do with expectations and assumptions people sometimes make. You know, like what you say, if you see a writer, you see a technical writer of you, and then there's a technical writer of the other person, you have to put two and two together in order to understand that you need that table.
Mm.
It might sound stupid, but you need. I mean,
Yeah,
some
but
people.
it's-
I don't
Yeah,
always see that.
It's
Yeah,
always
but
I
stupid
just see two
stuff.
riders, and I think, okay.
Are you sometimes calling the production leader like, okay, you got
Yeah.
my rider.
Make sure.
I've been programmed. We have made deal about the amount of money, the fee. Is everything in check?
You know, you can make sure these things happen
I
yourself.
usually do that at the space itself.
That's
Yeah,
too late.
That's too late.
Of course, it works two ways. Of course,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
It's
But I see your
I can.
point.
Yeah.
well for a lot of the really practical stuff, it's not too late because
Yeah.
it's I tend to be like on time, meaning at the time the
Okay.
stores are still open.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's also yeah.
but it's too often where I hear, oh yeah, we'll fix it later. That'll be taken care of. And usually a bell rings in my head. It's like it's not
not
gonna
okay.
happen.
No.
So yeah, it sort of works both ways.
Yeah, I can imagine that you being in the process of somebody doing something, you're calling them and like, is it fixed? And like, oh, I'm doing other stuff and we'll fix
You
it.
don't. I mean, that's
But-
something you don't want to think about when you're at a. You know, I understand that, but still.
I mean, it's also really dependent on the kind of venues you play. Because I mean, if you're playing in a place where they do electronic music concerts, there's a lot of things we can assume that's there.
Mm.
But if you're playing in another venue,
You have to also provide it. Yeah.
these assumptions you have are like not. They're not there. Like electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you also become more
Yeah.
explicit in your riders. I mean, I do that.
Yeah, but it is like it's sometimes also hard to know what kind of venue you are going to, and I guess especially for like starting artists, that's really hard to what to put in a technical rider.
Yeah.
So if you're focusing on like emerging artists or whatever, you do need to have more
Yeah.
feedback with the artist to say like, okay, what are you actually bringing?
Yeah, that's the thing we do.
What is in your bag,
Yeah.
and what will we provide?
And what's our space and what are the there we go again, the characteristics. I don't like the word.
Say it in Dutch, just
Yeah.
that word only.
What are the characteristics of the space we provide you and in terms of light intensity or sound environment or yeah, I think it's even with starting artists it's a lot of like mailing back and forth, but it's valuable and you see that you're also learning from them.
They are learning as well, actually.
Yeah, but
What
you're
I-
also
Yeah,
learning
yeah,
at the
some-
festival. Like, we
What I
didn't
tend
think
to
of
like
this.
also in festivals if they send a list of stuff that you have to fill in and like that you as an artist don't have to provide them with a technical writer, but they provide you with a list.
Fact sheet.
Yeah, so like
Mhm.
do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need this? What's and I got one fact sheet which I really like, which like what is really essential to be there. Like you had a space where you could like capitalize.
What's really important?
Yeah, what's really important.
Power.
In my case, it was like I need a network cable. I need internet working.
Next time will be
That's also
electricity,
interesting.
right?
Internet.
then it
always
was-
comes
was-
later.
Yeah,
What?
internet's always the last. Not with us, but
Yeah.
I've seen it on many occasions. As internet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we found them last week. Yeah, I guess I think that goes more for exhibitions, like when you get speakers from the venue for your kind of speakers you're getting. Especially because the moment you go into gallery space, the concept of speakers is a completely different. It's not the one that we all work at home with.
That's why you sound check.
Yeah,
It's
but
too late, you're
in
then
an
checking
exhibition
with what you
space,
have,
when
right?
when you get those multimedia speakers, it's really too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
You get an opening at 2 hours later, or for instance.
I mean, that's I think where sometimes communication goes. Yeah, invading with sound art into it. That needs some more attention to what is actually. I mean, it's the same also with sort of putting pieces together in one big exhibition space. Sound art doesn't work like that.
No, because it's on screen.
You can't put them all in one space. Then it's a nice thematic. This is a sound art.
Which you would
corner.
think like people would
Sound
think,
art
right?
corner.
I hate those headphone things. It's always just 5 on a row with all kinds
different
of
headphones.
Yeah, with different. Yeah.
With
just-
each a different defect.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's like beer sampling.
Yeah.
Unless it's made for headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
a medium.
different.
It's like a visual artist. Like, yeah, it was meant to be projected on a big screen, but we have this little television here. We can,
Yeah.
can just
I think the only
Exactly.
thing, the only pieces which should be on headphones, and now I'm getting polemic, are like multimedia pieces, which especially to the sound only have a loop. They can be on headphones.
Yeah. Okay.
They
And
have to be
binaural
on
stuff.
Because
headphones.
that's otherwise
That adds value.
But if you don't mind, I would like to wrap it back to the topic because now we're going back into sound.
I've given them tips.
Yeah, cool. No, that's fair enough. But actually, to return to your thing, like if anyone has more comments, like what did we get anything super awesome that we remember?
I think one of the most important things a festival can provide, or at least do, it's a better way to put it, to
And it's
not
not
promise things they can't do, or they
Yeah.
forget to do, or they won't do.
realism.
Sense of realism.
Yeah. But it's like you said, yeah, it's been taken care of, and it just won't happen. Or yeah, they're not realistic enough that it can be done, like putting 2 sound art things in one room.
That's being honest again.
Yeah, it's being honest, but it's
And I
also.
can offer you this, but I can't offer you that.
Beforehand.
But I think other festivals also do is provide certain types of like programs or meeting sessions where they're quite open and you can just mingle with a lot of different people, and even as festival organizations or artists or different, you just move through the festival through different points of meeting people, and I find those very interesting and very inspiring, and they can be very easy to arrange, but there can be like small openings at exhibitions, going one after each other, not doing all the openings in one time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the festival's
a better
over.
time.
Do smaller things and let people just choose how to take their routes and make it more adventurous way to the city, also like going
Yeah.
from a gallery to a different place. And I find it's also always very inspiring. So you can meet the performers or the participants at the festival, but also the little venues in a city.
Yeah, but that depends on what kind of festival you're doing. If you're doing a festival with all those kinds of venues, then you can do that.
Yeah.
But if you are doing a festival in one venue,
That's a
I
scale
think like
thing.
Fiber does.
We do it in one venue,
Exactly.
but we do different sort
Yeah.
of workshops, smaller
Well,
things.
then you have this amount of people. They're all thinking, okay, let's go now over here, and it won't fit in that
That's
room.
logistics.
Well, we do
Yeah.
smaller, like with 5 people groups working around the works, and some people explaining works, or just asking the artist, please, could you explain your work, or and most of the artists said before, like I want to, or I don't want to, I don't want to say anything. But those are kind of different, smaller, how do you call them? In interventions.
This might be completely unrealistic, especially because it's probably going to cost shitloads of money. But let's say we had all the money that we needed and the artists had the time. Wouldn't it be an idea to... Because I feel like most artists, especially if they're coming from another place just to join with the work itself, they come in and they leave. Whereas it would be a bit more like before, like sort of a build-up and a cool-down period before and after the festival or whatever itself for the artists, not for the people who are viewing the thing, but for the artists, like, and actual environment where they can spend time.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Um,
Maybe not really realistic.
especially
Well,
like
what
to
it is-
zone in on a specific thing of that, not just before, but also after.
That's what I said.
Because
Cool down.
what I do feel is like there's usually a lot of stuff happening before. Like there's oh yeah, we have a pre-party here and we have this and blah 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 and then
And then
it's a
blah, blah.
festival and then
Bye.
Yeah. It's like
But
and sometimes there's like not even
After party.
so food.
Well, yeah, after party, which is like the moment.
Well, I
you
mean,
take
like
something, forget
like
it.
a week later.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
that cooling down and
Sunday morning brunch.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
example.
yeah, but I feel like for some reason the sort of as soon as the event has passed, it's like the environment sort of changes. And like, oh yeah, shit, we have to clean up this stuff.
Oh, we have
and
to get the
and-
accounts
and-
ready,
and-
reckoning and whatnot.
The beautiful vibe that's been built up in the days or weeks or whatever
That's a good
before,
point.
it's sort of like gone, and it's kind of a shame.
Yeah,
Good
but
point.
you can
Yeah, that's about
organize.
sustainability you were saying. But I'm thinking, I'm just brainstorming. Wouldn't it be really nice, especially for performing arts, to have just one extra stage where the artist can just improvise, just an empty stage and
Hmm.
do whatever, you know, and let the artists meet up and do things.
Well, during Guildfest, we're going to do that.
You do?
Yeah, we have 3 program, like we divide 3 different program parts. I don't really have to mention what they're called because we have cool names for them, but one of them is called Zwervende Radicalen, and it makes it more confusing, I think. But
But
one of the program things is called Zwervende Radicalen, so I guess like
Okay.
we're drawing around the
Uh-huh.
festival. And during the festival, we want to have one wharf cellar where you can go if you have an idea or anything, and we provide the people to do the production for you. That's how I see it. And anything. So if you have an idea and you want to collaborate with someone that you met at the festival, you go to that space and you say, "Hi, I am Pinar, and I want to do this. What's possible?"
But
That's
And then we
interesting.
go
Does
see
that-
what's possible.
Does that work with like very business casual sort of made name kind of artists? Because do they even have time to be playful anymore?
I don't know, but that's the thing. Like, I'm
not.
not gonna. I have no idea how this is going to
Interesting.
evolve, because that's not the point of it. I don't really want to know. I'll see what happens at the festival, and if nothing happens, then we learn. But I'm really curious to see what does happen.
I think the problem, or that could be a problem, with that is it's still really organized, also by the artists themselves. If you set up a stage and say, okay, it's just plug and play, and everybody can the artists can walk up on stage and just plug in and play along.
True.
That would make a totally different dynamic.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
we're not
think
really.
it's a nice idea, but
In a music environment.
possible.
yeah,
Yeah, not
for others,
I think
like-
it's a nice idea if you have.
Also VJs.
Yeah, I can imagine that, but that you have certain sort of area where you have a specific type of artist.
Yeah.
But I think in practice it's very hard because a lot of people need different attention, have
Yeah.
different technical issues, have different technical ideas. Lights need to be off, need to be on, and then what do you want to concentrate on?
Yeah.
Well,
As a
put a
as-
light artist there and just improvise on that as well.
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
but it could be nice, but I would rather.
But a lot of things
Yeah, I don't
need
know, it's-
preparation.
it's,
of
it's,
course.
it's, it's a little bit the kind of, I mean, there's the meetup and they just basically have like an open jam space
Yeah.
Mhm.
between like video and music artists. So it would pretty much be like an evening like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can
It's
imagine
like sort of
such a
like-
place, but yeah.
But isn't it like sort of like the bring your own beamer thing?
Hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
come there,
Yeah.
you have your stuff. Like where? Oh, there's a piece of wall.
Yeah,
Do your thing. And
there's a piece of
and
wall.
yeah, but it's literally like okay, there's no
It's
piece of
actually-
wall. Here's a piece
there's
of
actually
ceiling.
a quite interesting discussion now going on in Tube Light about our Bring Your Own Beamer we did in Utrecht and
Mhm.
Utrecht, where there's a critic from Tube Light saying that Bring Your Own Beamer is not as we did it, not the perfect stage for new works to emerge and have a good space to show themselves to the world.
Okay.
And there's now a sort of discussion where somebody reflects on this piece and says like, no, it's not really about the artwork itself. It's about the network of people meeting up, sharing tools, sharing code, and really curating themselves. How is my work? And how is my work presented next to your big thing? Should I go smaller? Should I go? So it's a sort of network of curating and making decisions. But it's just look into this. I will send it in. I will just post it in the group. But it's a quite interesting discussion about how these open stages work.
I think this also is kind of the mentality that like in a festival, most festivals, you kind of want to see a product, sort of end thing that you want to. It's a presentation of an end thing, sort of thing, and I think the whole idea is kind of a daring thing. But that's why we say, is it realistic? Is it this? Is it that? Because it's not really about like it's just like, okay, let's make a sandbox there, whatever that sandbox is, and let people just go there and play and make a mess. But it's not. It's a hard to pull thing indeed. But I think that maybe it's related to what that discussion is as well. But obviously I didn't follow, but it just struck me like that. Like the guy said, a good platform to show work. Well, yeah, it's not about the work. It's about the process, or it's about the whole messiness, or whatever, the whole network, whatever, as you said. So it's like actually, I think there needs to be a sort of maybe even sort of mind switch or change or whatever, so that we can actually do those stuff. So far, I think the structures are not so much able to support that kind of approach.
Yeah, it's quite different in a sort of some people really want to show the work. They want to have a designated area where they can have their own space and share their own sound that's connected with the work. Some other people just are interested in how works can relate to each other, even collide. But the interesting thing about this Bring Your Own Beamer concept is, I think, how people organize it themselves. And they got into really nice discussions about, no, this is my space, I want to show my piece here, please stay away a bit. And they respect it. They look in a sort of like a balance and what's... and of course this is the concept. And you can also say, no, we have to present these works really in a lot of space, but that's more like a museum kind of presentation or more...
It's more controlled laboratory.
So you have to think about what do you need, what do you want for sort of an outcome, I think.
But it's also like for an audience experience. If you go to a Bring Your Own Beamer event, you go to see Bring Your Own Beamer, and with a lot of festivals, you go to see because like for instance, you go to Stripe to see Ikeda, and while you're there, there's an entire exhibition and stuff like that. But you have like these artists that you want to see, and that's the reason to visit that thing. And I think with Bring Your Own Beamer, it's more like you visit the space where everything happens at the same time, and it's kind of leveling in that sense, that there's no big name. It's just you go to the space where everything happens, and every artist that's there has their own merits. Like it's sort of like the democratic way of
merging.
It's also different. Thresholds.
But also like in comparison with visuals to sound, this works on a visual level because you can actually project two things next to each other and each have them represented, but you cannot do that with sound because
sound works different.
Yeah, that was also a bit of critique that was in the piece. Was mostly also written about not only the visual overdose, but like the sound overdose. And I think on that level, there's quite a lot to learn, also with the Bring Your Own Beamer, probably. So that's an interesting part to look into, because the Bring Your Own Beamer is of course on a very visual. The first Bring Your Own Beamer was very visual, but now we're moving more and more into installations, more interactive works with sound, and it's just kind of like changes the way how sounds collide, or
Oh yeah, you can do a bring your own headphone thing.
wouldn't come.
Back to
Yeah.
that.
Then I can take my own headphone, and then you go through that experience.
Yeah.
You're the only one that doesn't bring the
Yeah.
headphone.
But
Yeah. Whoa.
To come back on your idea of an open stage or an open area, yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. And sometimes in workshops or in sort of work areas, that kind of things happens, that people just put their beamer up, like, okay, made of this. And if there's actually space for it, designated space to experiment, that's nice.
Exactly.
Which is one of the things that we haven't really talked about. What is the function of a festival to the creation of new work? We've talked about how we can get good food and good sleep and electricity and the space for someone to present work that is already finished. But okay, I know from festivals that they do workshops or they do commissions, like the Sonic Acts. They commissioned this new sculpture for the opening. Yeah.
From Matthijs Munnik.
Yeah. And
That's where I did the emergency.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't know.
so yeah, sometimes
knew.
Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Now they
Yeah. Because I know the piece from Matthijs' former piece, and then the translation into the new piece. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll ask you later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it relates a bit to the open stage thing, like the festival as an open university almost, and it also relates to the giving feedback, like you enhance creation. Well, I don't know if you guys commission new works in your festivals, but it seems like something essential for a festival to have, like to order something that is for the festival to push things forward.
We haven't really commissioned. Well, we have commissioned on a sort of meta level, I think, and we're trying to move more into commissioning from the start. We brought together two artists, Tiago Morgado and Evgeny Vashensko from the Ukraine. There are two sound artists. The one is electroacoustic artist playing hyper violin, and the other is some sort of modified violin. The other is an algorithmic composer, and we didn't even put the two together. We made an environment, a virtual environment where they could meet each other, and they had really nice ideas connecting to each of them the pieces. So we set up a meeting, a virtual meeting. I think it was in Skype or I don't know exactly, and they said like, okay, we want to work together. And before we had programmed them as two different artists, but now they wanted to connect their pieces and make a workshop out of it.
No, nice.
So that was we had a sort of performance of this new made piece, and they performed, or they how do you call it, practiced 2 days before the performance in real life. They exchanged code and patches and over, and then they had 2 days on the festival ground where they just started rehearsing, and they that was the opening of the night part. So that was quite nice, and they did 2 different workshops. So in this kind of level, yes, we stimulate these kind of meetings.
No,
and
it's beautiful.
It's very intriguing, also for us, because we didn't really thought of it before. We had hopes, but we didn't thought of it. Other things is for instance, our data booth project. And this is, we always like to say, like, okay, it's an experiment. And it's a sort of research project where we say, okay, we use data as an artistic source in the festival. And you have like the VJ booth, the DJ booth, and we just put up a data booth. So this is actually a place where people can go and they experience different artists working with data and different outputs. So for instance, there are guys working with Brainwave from Hoofdbeelden, Joost Platil and his brother. and they connected with other artists who worked on different levels with different data, and just made a whole day full of little workshops, but self-initiated. They just came with their project. We made an environment. We asked a few questions, and they about what is the output of these data, what is the artistic, what can you do with data as an artistic source, and then they just worked with it, and it is. There actually came a lot of really small projects out of it, like small works. We like to call them meta works. They're not really evolved into artworks, but they're sort of in between new works and other works. We connected different.
Trying to do it subtle, but couldn't. Sorry. It's closing to 11. So
Okay. So, but this was really about making a network where different types of new works could emerge from, and that's the thing we want to export more to the rest of the festival. So, yeah, commissioning, but not really top down.
Yeah, but it's all again this problem of the festival being an open university, like a pop-up conservatory, you know? Like for 5 days you get people to work and you give them feedback or whatever. But which is it won't. I don't think it really works.
Well, I don't think it's really like this. We asked them because they have a certain project which already is finished, and they modify it after presenting the project or installation or presentation into a different shape or different for that moment. So they break open their works. We had workshops where we let other artists or students work on different parts of an installation that's already finished, but they can modify different parts of the installation. So it's not really that open, but we break certain things open to be evolved, and I think that's, for me, that's a very interesting and creative piece of the festival.
In that way, it's
So okay, it seems like we're approaching the last
final words.
15 minutes, so maybe we can sort of do
you want to make the ending, because you seem to be good at wrapping things up?
Yeah,
it was great.
Really?
I don't know. I'll start making jokes about the wine again and the food.
And electricity.
It was nice that we actually had insight from within festivals, like how they're organized and how your agendas are formed and how you make your programs and how you try to form an identity of a festival. It was nice that we touched the issue of community. We heard about how the artists complain and what they like. That food is very important for a good performance. I don't know. I mean, it's really personal for me that the festivals are still too institutionalized. But it's inevitable when you have to deal with all those logistics and all that organizing stuff. You give and take. What I was thinking while we were talking is that it's also like a two-way process. So we have been talking all the time in sort of a binary mode, like the artists and the festivals. So maybe we should try to mesh the two things. Like, okay, the artists also are part of the festival. And the festival also needs the artists, so maybe there's a way to find a more flexible bond, not like a hard wall between them.
Good point, actually.
If I may add, I don't see it like this. Also in this discussion, because if we talked about those sort of community-based festivals, I think, and that's also with you, and I think a lot of us work with these kind of environments in this way, I think.
Mhm.
And even the new festivals that are emerging now, I think they're quite different as
It's changing.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's changing.
It is changing.
Yeah, you're new festivals and you're good festivals. So that
No, yeah, well,
Sort of
we have to
standard.
prove it in the end, of
Mm.
course. But if I may add, I don't feel it as a really opposed two groups.
Mhm.
But maybe we have
No,
to talk about it,
it
not in
seems-
this way.
it seems that we have developed this kind of vocabulary,
Yeah,
and it has been throughout the discussion,
yeah.
like the festival, the artist, the employer,
Yeah.
the employee, and all
yeah,
those
that's
things.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Good point.
maybe there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was actually one more thing I wanted to. It's like the communication about the timetable to the outside world. I mean, sometimes I want to go to a festival, and I have a lot of trouble.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's sometimes I have time to do these things, and then it's pretty hard to figure out what is actually going on.
Yeah.
And it's like the problems are like, well, when the timetable you can't find it.
No. It seems
or
like they're
it's-
trying
or
to
it's-
make it look too good and they forget to make
You
it.
have to be there all day.
design,
Yeah.
for looks and not for information.
Yeah, exactly.
They assume names are known.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
I'm not.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
like,
no,
I'm
I'm
tired.
listening, this is
I'm
very-
really tired. Yeah.
Like
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it.
they assume the big names or whatever the artist names are known. If I have no idea who the artist is, I want to be able to see why I have to decide between I'm going on Friday or Saturday night, and I want to maybe bring some people, so I need to convince them that this
Yeah.
is going to be cool. I need to have some information.
Yeah.
Like a few lines telling what it's.
I'm
I
really
think
out of it right now. I don't
think
think
it's-
it's coming. I don't really think
I
it's
think
necessary either.
I think it's a
Like,
very
Like-
important thing,
Yeah.
and we try to do.
And maybe printable as
Yeah.
well, like so you can actually print it and sit with people at the dinner table and sort of cross where you want to go.
Yeah, we put out a sort of 2-page flyer where everybody is named with at least 3 lines of text, so you get this whole sort of. It takes a lot of space, but in the end, it kind of works also as a booklet if you're walking through the exhibition or working. So that kind of works, and timetables are extremely good or bad. And if you have like a 5-day festival with all these kind of things, we don't have, but if you have it, I think that's the really critical part of guiding your audience through the festival. And I think one of the festivals, Soundframe, I think they're in Vienna. They have a very simple sort of slider structure where you can see what's happening, and there's different types of these things that we have to look what works and just take little
Yeah, I
parts
mean,
of it.
I'm happy with an HTML table.
Yeah,
Well, that's on,
Okay, yeah.
on the one hand. On the other
That's
hand,
so-
Clear one.
yeah.
I really like it if there's somebody who has a crew shirt on who actually says, okay, you really have to go to
Yeah.
that thing. Like personal involvement of the people who organize it, like being talked to and say, okay, like you really have to check out this thing right there. I mean, you probably never heard of it, but just go there and
Yeah.
you'll convince
I
yourself.
think that's what's
But
good
like
for us is good.
the enthusiasm of the people who are running it themselves.
I love internet.
And with that said,
Let's wrap it up! Yay! Yay! Thanks a lot for joining. It's been very long talk, but
Too
it was
long, too
nice.
long,
It
too
was
long.
the longest I guess.
I think
Okay.
it's